After the prank the MC done, Hugo tells them that they should compete in friendly duels first. She look at MC and tell him that he better watch out, and she won't forget this. The MC simply smiles and nods. The friendly duels between the Baskervilles and Morgs had begun. It was an occasion where children ages 8 to 15 gather and battle it out. However, everyone's attention was headed somewhere else. This year it was the Morgs clan Camomorg against the Baskerville clan. The MC Van Baskerville using practical training rules. It was to showcase the duel between the two geniuses of the clans. The bells rings announcing the start of the duel. Camus tells him she won't hold back and begins to cast the spell. Everyone was stunned that she was doing quadra-casting. Adolphe smiles at Hugo, as the crowd were amazed that Camus was doing something that was difficult for a 15-year-old. Camel unleashes her attacks, but the McDodges them with ease. He tells her she should focus on one spell, but she calls him an idiot, who doesn't understand magic. She summons a stone wall just as the MC reaches her. He simply smashes through the wall. Camus was shocked to see this, wondering if this was the power of the Baskerville Basque in the river Styx. She closes her eyes and opens them again and sees the MC with his hand out. He flicks her straight in the head, sending her flying. Adolphe was surprised to see a flick, while Hugo chuckles. Camus asks him why he flipped her and wonders if he was going easy on her. He points to his forehead, saying hers might hurt and that they should end things before it gets out of hand. But she ignores him and summons two stone walls. She laughs at him behind the two walls, as the MC wonders if you should just go around it. He decides to play along and smashes through the wall with just his bare hands. Camus startled to see his hand come from the wall. The MC now asks her whose arm it was that crossed the wall, and tells her as he flicks her forehead. The stronger individual, he smiles as Camus falls down again from the flick with a huge red bump on her forehead. Camel holds it and growls at him. She yells at him, saying she'll kill him, as the MC dodges the fire spell and wonders that dealing with children is much harder. He continues to dodge her attacks, wondering what he should do to calm her down. The MC looks behind, wondering if he should let others handle the problem. Another duel was happening right behind them. It was a pair of idiots that keeps casting fire magic, and a swordsman that slices magic. He believes that they might be useful, as Camus shouts out while he wasn't getting hit. She walks to him, asking him not to turn away and to face her. The idiot mage behind begins chanting a magic spell, giving Vakir the perfect moment. He calls out to Camus, telling her that she better have a defensive spell ready. As a huge fireball appears behind him, Camus couldn't believe what was in front of her. Adolphe shouts now, as a huge explosion is seen. Everyone gathers around the scene of the explosion. They all call out to Camus, shouting her name. She hears her uncle's voice in the dust and smoke. She thinks about what to do as she managed to defend against the attack, but something else had happened. The flame spell had burned all her clothes. She knows that everyone can't see her because of the smoke, but once it clears up, she'll be the laughing stock of everyone. She calls out in her mind for someone to help her, and soon a jacket lands on top of her head. See, Camus was surprised to see the MC as he tells her to put on his jacket, covering herself with the jacket. She asks him why he wants to help her. The MC says he just wants to. She thinks to herself, why this idiot would help. But notices something. The MC had been cut by the idiot swordsman attack, which still have some more on it. The people enter the smoke and notices something. That they were together. Adolphe was relieved that Camus was fine, while Hugo remains silent. The crowd realizes that Camus was on the floor, while the MC was bleeding, and then he was extremely fit based on the muscles on his body, which shows the amount of training he had done. Adolphe hugs Camus as she remains silent as she stares at him. Back at the mansion, Hugo asks the MC how the battle was against the lady of the Moremo clan. He tells him that he had understood the reason behind the event. Once again, while Hugo tells him that a battle between a mage and swordsman are different. He further asks why he didn't go for a clear blow. But Vakir tells him that he had no idea on how to deal with a lady. Hugo tells him that he had let his guard down, and that the wound on his arm was a lesson. The MC was shocked to hear that Hugo was worried about him. He remembered from his past that Hugo was so cold, so strict, and so brutal because he had lost his first wife and eldest daughter, but he thinks it's not his problem. As Hugo asks him what they should do with the ruby mines, he tells him that they should give it away. Hugo asks why. The MC explains that the main purpose of the Baskerville clan was to grow its territories, and that the monsters and barbarians near the ruby mines are a problem, and that they should utilize more clan well to deal with, those problems which helps to minimize their losses with the expansion. Into that region, Hugo tells him that he was right. The MC further explains that once the Moor clan claims the ruby mines, all they need was to push the monsters and barbarians into that region, allowing for them to take care of all the problems at once. Hugo likes the idea that the rubies will be bathed in the blood of their enemies, and that the Moor clan will think twice before entering their area. He rubs the MC head, telling him that his idea was 90 aligned with this, as the MC thought to himself that the idea was originally Hugo's idea from the past. The MC tells him that they needed to keep an eye on the Morg's movement. Hugo tells him he had increased the number of hounds scouting the area. As they walk further, they encounter Adolf and Camus waiting for them. Adolf asks if they could talk once again before they return, as Camus blushes while hiding behind. Inside the room, Hugo asks what they wanted to talk about. Adolf tells him he needs to mention one thing. He wanted to discuss other ways to resolve the issues of the ruby mines. Other than paying for it, Adolf suggests an engagement between the Morg and Baskerville clan. Hugo asks which child did he have in mind. Adolf proposes the eldest son of the Baskerville and the eldest daughter of the Morimo clan, Camus. He praises her, saying she was the best. Hugo tells him that the eldest son was 25, and about the age gap, Adolf tells in the 17-year gap is not too big of an issue, but Camus speaks out, saying she will not marry anyone weaker than her mother. Adolf tells her that she might remain single all her life, due to her condition, but she remains absolute about it. Hugo tells her that this wasn't a buffet of her choosing. She tells him firmly that she has no intention of playing around either, and looks in a certain direction. Both Hugo and Adolf look in the same direction. It was the MC. Adolf couldn't believe what he was seeing. He whispers to Camus, telling her not to think about the MC, as he was just a small fish in a big pond, and only had the Van surname. Hugo hears it and is slightly pissed off, speaks out, saying that an engagement should involve the people's thinking, asking the MC what he thought of the Kieran Camus, simply stared at each other in silence. He opens his mouth slowly and tells them that he accepts. Adolf is confused and angry at the MC. The MC is happy to hear that the engagement was not rejected. Hugo tells Adolf that just because the MC did not have the name Lou, he assures him that he was a talented child. Adolf stands in front of the MC, judging him. The MC recounts as memories of Adolf Morg. He was a sixth circle master and one of the strongest, and a great supporter of his niece. Adolf tells the MC that not just anyone can be the husband of Camo. He grabs the MC's shoulder, wondering why he wasn't responding and why his body was so sturdy. The MC tells him that he wasn't listening to what Adolf had said. This surprises Camus and made Hugo chuckle lightly. Adolf laughs and asks Hugo if he could have a deeper conversation with the MC. Hugo wonders if the mage of the Empire was going to scold 8-year-old child. Adolf replies that this was a request as an uncle, while Camus tells him he doesn't have to do this. He gave a bombastic side-eye to Camus, telling her she better stay still, and that this was bound to happen to someone else eventually. He then asks Hugo for the chance, and Hugo agrees. Back at the training arena, Hugo and Camus were standing at the side, while Adolf and Vakir are in the arena. Adolf tells him that they will be testing the MC, and wants to see everything is capable of. The MC agrees while thinking if he did show everything, Adolf might faint. Adolf casts a spell, telling the MC he will give him a handicap. A pot was being created from a combination of spells. This amazes Camus, as Adolf was casting fire, earth, and water magic perfectly. He tells Vakir that they would duel with a pot of water on his head, and that if a single drop falls, it would be his victory. The MC remains silent, thinking that this chance was a great way to experience the power of Adolf and what he's capable of. He looks at Hugo, knowing what he thought was the same reason why Hugo accepted this. Adolf calls out to the MC to start the duel, making the MC rush out. He closes into Adolf, ready to strike with his sword. Camo is surprised at his action and yells out that he can't run straight towards his uncle, as a bright light appears on his face. A shield was casted to block the swing of his sword. Adolf calls out to his niece asking why she told him that, and that shield magic was best used against swordsmen. The MC steps back. Annoyed fireballs are created in the air behind Adolf. As he prepares to go on the offense, he sends out the flame magic towards the MC, making him leap back. Camus calls Uncle him that it was unfair. He didn't use that magic against her in their duels. While Adolf wonders which side she was on, Hugo thinks of the attack as not something impossible to dodge and decides not to stop them. The MC thinks that by using his past knowledge and skills, he may cause Adolf to let his guard down, and that he might even be able to kill him. He strikes hard once again against the shield magic, and continuous hit it again and again. Adolf tells him that it'll be the same no matter how many times he hit it, as his sword will never pierce through his shield. But the cured Norris's words, striking the same place over and over again, cracks begins to form, making Adolf realize that the MC's swordsmanship and machine-like movement was impressive, but his sword was chipping away as well. A final swing causes the sword to shatter into pieces. Adolf reminds him that he should have considered the durability of his sword and his shield, and that it's good to focus on a single goal, but that depend on the opponent. While those words were said, Hugo and Camus were shocked by something. Adolf continues to say that the MC was too weak, but before he could finish the sentence, he notices something as well. A piece of the sword is pierced the pot on his head, causing water to flow down everywhere. Adolf was stunned to see a piece of the sword. The MC flexes on the old man and his in fashion. Camus falls for Vakir even harder. She wonders if the victory against his uncle meant their marriage. Hugo was happy to see that Vakir had won. He looks at the caravan Baskerville, wondering if he had raised a stronger hound than he thought.